Hi everyone, welcome to Filipino Time. And today we are with Miss Annie Santos and her beautiful vintage collection. Annie is, I guess a lover of all things vintage.
Yes, yes.
Anything with history and a story.
Pretty much.
And, since we're talking about stories, I think it's only right that we start with her story with these vintage watches, specifically this beautiful linen dial Omega.
Yes.
All right, Annie, tell me about this watch.
All right, so this is Omega Seamaster 30. It has a linen dial, and this is the first watch that I ever bought. I bought it from a couple friend who are also into vintage watches, and they're actually my barkada, and we would be talking about vintage furnitures.
Okay.
So that's how we started off, and then one day I would hear them talking about other vintage items like the watches.
Okay.
So the wife is actually into selling vintage watches once in a while. And that's how I got this. So it was actually a very good buy because apart from, the dial being really pristine, patinated really beautifully, I got this with the crown and the buckle also signed.
Oh, wow.
So that's quite rare.
Can you explain for some of the, I like vintage watches, but I'm not going to profess to be an expert. What does it mean to have the buckle signed?
Well, it really tells you that everything that came with a watch, except for the leather strap,
is original. To that watch.
Yes, because you would normally replace your straps.
Yes.
So to have
Especially
the original,
leather.
Exactly.
Yes.
So to have the original, buckle still intact.
Yes.
That's it actually adds to the value of the vintage watch if ever you're buying one. So expect that the price will be a little bit higher when you have the crown and the buckle original and signed together with the watch itself. So crowns, of course, when it gets repaired, sometimes you have to replace the crown.
Yes.
Hence, it's actually normal then to see vintage watches without the crown signed.
I see.
So if you get all three, that would be a really good buy. Rare, yes.
I see.
Rarer than normal. So this has awesome linen dial. That's why I liked it.
And the small seconds. I really love the
small seconds.
Yes, and the small
seconds,
it's such a cute little feature.
Yes, and for me, it depends, no? There are a lot of different vintage collectors who want their dials really clean. Mine, the more, that I see the vintage in it. Like, if you look closely, even the S of the Seamaster is quite,
it's a little bit worn out. You can just make it out.
Yeah, we just know that, from the other letters as a Seamaster, but the S is, quite worn out already.
And the applied indices are also very, very beautiful.
Yes.
It looks like does that mean it would have had a loom before in the end?
No.
It's just part of the design.
patina.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful watch. It really is a beautiful.
Yes.
So when did you buy this watch?
I'm actually a novice at this, I only started like 2.5 years ago.
That's fine. So this
it's
is
pretty young in the vintage watch collection.
But still, you started, and it's a beautiful watch to start with.
Yes.
So speaking of firsts, this also has
a first in it.
A first in it. So
after buying this, vintage watches piqued my interest. I started researching, knowing more about the history. We could talk more about the Omega later on.
Sure.
So this one is my first win from an auction.
Okay.
There are several pages out there on Facebook that does, auction and selling of vintage watches.
But this one in particular, you got this from which site?
I got this from Vintage Watch Junkie. So this is the first one that I joined.
I see. And the first one that you won. First you joined and the first one you won.
Yes.
Wow, 1 for 1.
Yes, I was even playing badminton at that time. So I was like, checking on, what time? And then, so it was, I guess, maybe luck, but I kind of found out how to win. I've not actually lost only one time, but on eBay. So I have a good winning streak.
So what about this watch caught your interest?
Okay, I'll be very honest. When I got this, I didn't know anything about the brand.
Okay.
But if you look at the face, it just looked vintage automatically.
Yes, I
In fact,
agree.
every time I
Yeah.
wear this, yes,
Thank
every
you.
time I wear that, people just say, "Are you wearing a vintage watch?"
Yes.
It's just from afar.
They know it.
They know
it's
it
vintage.
looks so vintage. I'm not really sure if it's because of the design. It's very clean. It's already yellow. You can see the patina, but it's not with the dots.
Yes,
and
yes.
it's not. It doesn't look
Am I going to pronounce
tropicalized.
this right? Cortebert? Is that the correct pronunciation?
That's the difficult part. Swiss, so French, it's Cortebert.
Cortebert. Okay, Cortebert.
It's
All right.
hard. To be honest, I'm not even really sure about the
Okay.
others.
But
but
if you guys out there
forgive
know what,
us.
if you guys know what the real pronunciation is, we're just gonna say Cortebert and pretend we know what we're talking about. But if you guys know the real pronunciation, please let us know in the
Yes, we
comments
would
below.
love to. So
Yes, we would.
others would follow where the brand came from.
That makes sense.
Some because they're now produced in Switzerland, whatever language there is in,
Well, they have
which
three.
is primarily exactly.
Yeah, Italian, French, and German.
Exactly. So I think most of them would pronounce it in French, but it really depends.
It makes sense. I would assume it's French. But yeah, again, you guys out there who know better, please let us know.
Yeah. So the nice thing about the Cortebert, this is one of their dress watches, but they started out actually producing railway watches.
Okay, really?
So yes.
And that's where the aesthetic comes from. The Big 12, Big 6.
Could be. So they started off with pocket watches for railway companies. First one was the Turkish railway system, and then
Okay.
Mussolini invited them. They're a very well-known producer of watches from
I
before.
see.
Premium watchmaker, to be exact. And even Mussolini invited them to distribute and create watches for the Italian railway system.
see.
However, because during that time, some fascists would want other brands coming in.
Sure, they wanted an Italian only.
Yes, only Italian. So
That's
what they
right.
did was to carry it in a different name.
Oh, interesting.
In Italy, this is carried as Perseo. It's still existing, I think, right now.
I see.
So that's Cortebert there.
Okay. Is it still Cortebert up to this day? Per se,
There's
or
no
still
more Cortebert.
Okay.
No. They got hit by the Quartz Revolution. So in the 70s, they
Unfortunately, they
ceased
back it up.
production. Yes. So, but they are continued on Perseo. And then actually, the Russians commissioned them as well to do
Okay,
one.
that's
If
interesting.
you've heard of Molniha,
I have not. And I like Russian watches, but I have not.
so
heard
they
of
also
them.
started with pocket watches. So apparently, their movements are from Cortebert.
I see. Okay, that's really. And
It's
this is
interesting.
automatic.
It's an automatic.
Very
You can also see that it says they're anti-magnetic. It was a big thing before,
That's right.
being an anti-magnetic. It doesn't, disrupt how they tell the time. Most especially because they work in the train system. So
Yes.
they have to make sure,
Yeah, or else the trains won't be on time.
Yes.
And that would be catastrophic on the railway
Exactly. It
system.
can also be catastrophic if, you don't keep time well. So that was very important for them at that time. Before we move on to the
Yeah.
next watch, I want to show you one last interesting
Okay.
bit about this watch. So if you look at the case back,
Yeah.
you will see that
Oh wow, it's
yes,
inscribed.
it's inscribed. So assuming, I think this is the name of the person, and this is 1947 to 1962, probably year of service.
25 years.
25 years,
Okay.
yes, and I don't know,
Some kind of
quoted text, maybe a form of gratitude. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah. But I know earlier we kind of checked that it might be Serbian.
yes, it might be Serbian. So I think it's common in those areas to
Yeah.
award watches like this for years of service.
Oh, that makes
things
sense,
like that.
yeah.
Yes, or handed
yeah.
down, and then inscriptions at the back.
I see.
So
Another interesting thing about the back, since you showed me the back, was we talked about this a little bit earlier. The Grand Prix. This is this is I guess the precursor to the COSC.
yes, so before it's the Observatory Grand Prix. It's like an award-giving body. So you know that the brand is actually an award-winning one.
Yeah, and that means basically the movement is accurate.
Yes.
Very, very cool. And so, well, we were talking earlier about how this brand came out in different markets under different names, which is quite cool. And it's a really nice segue to this next really interesting watch, which has no name.
It has no name, yes.
Nothing here. It says, okay, so 17 jewels, 17 rubies, and anti-magnetic, Swiss made, but it doesn't say who the maker is.
Yes, it doesn't say who the maker is. So this is the face. When I was really looking for, unique things.
Yeah.
And again, I was, reading, I guess, way more than I should be. It's really picking my interest. So I found this. And there's actually a connection to Cortebert.
Okay.
All right. Remember I told you about the Turkish railway system?
Yes, that's right.
This is actually that design.
Oh.
And it came out with like funky colors like blue and red. Things like that.
Okay.
All different combinations of colors. But this one is really pristine. It's clean, It's like this.
Yeah, like a flowery pattern almost. Yeah.
Exactly. So we also have some textures on the outer part of the dial, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. What's the connection? We looked into the movement.
Okay.
It's the same movement as the Cortebert.
So this most likely would have been made by Cortebert for the Turkish railway system.
Could be.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Yes. The funny thing is, we don't know why it's unbranded.
I see.
That's what's unique and interesting about it. Because it's also so clean. Either they didn't complete the production for haven't really stamped on the brand or something, or it could be also. Remember, I also told you about Cortebert being commissioned by other countries.
Yes.
And then there are issues on, we don't want it carrying the
brand.
So
foreign brand.
Could
a foreign
be
name.
that they were distributing this in another country. That's
I
why there's still no brand.
That's actually really cool. But you can see the case is almost exactly identical.
Yes.
The domed glass is almost exactly identical.
The design is...
Yeah, the shape of the hand. I mean, this is a small seconds, but other than that, it really looks like...
It could have come from
the same factory.
Exactly.
And same era, most likely.
Same era, most likely. And then, when we checked on the movement, it's...
Identical.
If not exactly identical, it's just so close.
And well, this is something interesting, because I'm sure at the time, not all watches were anti-magnetic. And so on both ones, they wanted to say, hey, look, it's anti-magnetic, which we said earlier, goes back to the railway thing. And that's actually really cool. So these could have been like from the same factory, same line.
Could be. I mean, we'll never know. But that adds to the, quirkiness and the interesting point of the watch.
But even by itself, the dial itself, you rarely see like this.
It could be a really clean dress watch.
And in the middle, it's got the vertical. I guess I don't know what the correct term is, but the the horizontal lines.
Yes.
And then outside, it's got the sunburst.
Yes.
And then you have the very flat.
Flowery.
Yeah, it's very, very.
The detail is undeniable.
Yeah,
They really took time. Even the indices are applied, so it's not stamped.
It's something that you probably would not see in a modern watch anymore. Not that kind,
yeah.
Multiple faces, multiple textures. Huh?
Yeah, and I'm sure the case wasn't really touched that much because there's not much patina in it.
It's beautiful. It's really
very
beautiful.
Yeah.
I have to say.
It's an interesting piece. I mean, okay, what's your watch? I don't know.
But also, what I like about the Cortebert in this one is that they're vintage, but they're decent size. For some, I have a big wrist.
Yes.
You can, I could actually wear them.
Yes.
And they won't feel like
They're
toys.
in the 30s.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's what, a 36 maybe?
Could be 36, yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful watch. And speaking of interesting with the movements, you're telling me that this, very uncharacteristically, is an automatic.
Yes.
This tiny little Omega.
It's an Omega Lead-O-Matic. The interesting bit about that, it's so small. It's from the 1960s.
Yes.
It's just hard to comprehend during that time. How could you have fitted
an automatic watch?
It's quite thick if you see it from the side.
But still.
This
is like what, a 14, 16 millimeter diameter watch. It's tiny.
It's tiny.
And it still has the little sea dragon in the back, Seamaster.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so cool. You can still see it.
Another bit of siguro advice or tip for those
Sure.
who would be buying watches. So for the Omega, they would have like a laser etching. At
Okay.
least for the Omega, and
Yes.
it would always be in the middle.
Oh, I didn't
So
realize that.
if you get that, that means the case is original.
I see.
So this one has, this one has.
Oh,
But
okay.
you kind of need to have,
Like a magnifying glass or to
to
see it.
see it. And then from an angle, because it's an etching from the inside.
So you won't see it with your just bare eye.
Might be very difficult unless, maybe with the right angle,
Yeah.
the light coming in and
But it's very cool because I can actually I can see the second hand. Well, yeah, moving.
Mm-hmm.
And most watches this small would not even have a second hand. It's just the hour and minutes.
so again the crown is signed. So that was a
Oh yeah.
really cool buy for me.
Very, very nice. I don't dare try to put it on though. I might break this bracelet, which is actually very cool.
But if it doesn't have the etching, it's fine. It's also common that you replace the glass.
I see.
Yeah, that's normal naman if you buy vintage watches.
But again, you'd rather have it
Again, if
original.
you'd rather have it, then wow, perfect.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then you were saying, okay, so I want to go back to this very interesting theme about the names of the watches, and you're telling me something very interesting about Omega and how how they start with a
yes.
different name.
So when Omega started in the 1800s, it's not actually named Omega.
Okay,
It's called Louis Brandt and Phil.
Louis Brandt and Phil.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess those are
So-
two watchmakers, or what's the story
I'm not
behind
really
that?
sure. It didn't. The story I read didn't say it. But
Okay, so what's the
So they came out with the first movement with a funny name,
Okay.
Labrador.
Labrador? Okay, they're dog lovers, maybe.
They were not really as big as how you would know the brand today.
Sure.
So it was a how do you call it? Not really small, but medium-sized business.
Sure.
Just normal, watch company. So after the father died, the founder, it was the brothers, the sons, who
I see.
started being aggressive in
I see.
producing movements and selling the watches.
And so those are the names of the brothers.
I don't remember.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Sorry,
all right.
I don't remember.
That's
but-
okay.
So they were the first ones who created the Labrador. It's their first mass-produced movement. The second one, which
It
is
would be a
called-
manual, I suppose.
probably.
Okay.
The next one was called the Omega Caliber.
Okay.
That is what really hit it,
I see.
made it big. That's also the reason why they
took
took
that
on
name.
the name. So that was the only time that it became Omega Company.
Oh, okay, that's really
Omega Watch
interesting.
Company. Yes.
I didn't know that either.
So
I'm an Omega guy. Yeah, I have 3 Omegas at home. I didn't even know that story.
yeah, and going back, the Seamasters, their how do you call it, model that
Yes.
they released for their 100th anniversary.
I see.
So that long, the Seamaster.
And these are both Seamasters, actually. They both actually. Well,
no,
this is Seamaster.
No, this is a lady.
Okay, it's just a
It's a lady.
Seamaster in the back.
Really?
Yeah, in the base, in
Okay,
the case
but here
back.
is a Ladymatic.
I see.
I'm not sure if it's a sub-model of the Seamaster.
Well, they have tons of
They have
the
several.
Seamaster, the Seamaster Cosmic, the 3000, the Coaxial, the so on and so
Yes, so
forth.
that one I'm not really sure.
Aquaterras and but there, see, very very faint. You can
Yeah.
actually see it. That's actually really cool. So possibly a sub model.
Possibly a sub-model.
Very very cool.
So there, Seamaster 100. Before the Speedmaster.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop there real quick because, well, actually, we have a lot more to go. So, guys, please stay tuned for part 2 of this episode because there's a lot more vintage goodness to follow, and you're not gonna want to miss it. So, we will see you in the next episode, which actually we're about to film in 5 minutes time.
See you in a bit.
See you in exactly. Yes, see you in a bit.